It all started with a crunch, an unexpected, sickening crunch under the wheels of my truck as I was driving back from the farmer's market. I slammed on the brakes, my heart dropping into my stomach. I jumped out, fearing maybe I'd run over an animal. But what I saw chilled me. A neat line of spike strips glinting in the sun, tearing through my tires like they were paper. And the worst part? This wasn't a public road. This was my private farm road, miles away from the nearest HOA jurisdiction. That's when I knew. This wasn't just an accident. It was a calculated move, and I already had a suspect in mind. One woman, one problem. Karen. Let me rewind. I own a peaceful piece of land at the edge of a small rural town. I run a small organic farm, living quietly and minding my business. The road that leads to my house? It's privately owned by me, with clear legal deeds and boundaries. But just a few months ago, a new neighbor moved into the last house near the edge of the development, close to the HOA boundary. Her name was Karen, and as cliches go, she fit it to a T. Entitled, confrontational, and completely convinced the entire world should operate by her standards. She introduced herself to me with a clipboard in one hand and a list of community expectations in the other. Even though I didn't even live in the HOA's jurisdiction, that was the first red flag. Karen's first request was that I paint my barn a more neighborhood-friendly color. Apparently, my rustic red didn't aesthetically match the rest of the HOA properties. I laughed it off at first, politely explaining that I didn't fall under their rules. She didn't take that well. In fact, she stormed off mid-sentence, muttering something about non-compliant attitudes. That should have been the end of it, but for people like Karen, being ignored is like waving a red flag in front of a bull. The petty escalations started slowly, small things. Trash mysteriously appearing on my side of the road, packages going missing, her HOA friends driving up my farm road to inspect things. Then came the fake complaints, to the city, to the county, even animal control. All were dismissed, of course, but that only seemed to fuel her fire. What truly blew my mind, though, was the spike strips. It was a quiet Monday morning when I noticed the damage. 2 tires gone, $800 in repairs. My first thought was that it might have been a prank, maybe even wildlife dragging something across the road. But when I walked the length of my farm road, I found more strips, placed at precise intervals like someone wanted to disable every single vehicle coming through. That's when I realized. This wasn't just sabotage. It was intentional obstruction, and I had a strong feeling who was behind it. So I did what anyone with a legal right to their land would do. I checked my trail cams. I'd installed them years ago to keep an eye on coyotes near the chicken coop, but luckily they caught something a little less wild and a lot more stupid. There she was, Karen, in broad daylight, wearing a sun hat and yoga pants, laying down metal strips along my private road. Her little yappy dog was trotting behind her like this was just another walk in the park. The footage was crystal clear. It was the kind of evidence lawyers dream of. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I didn't confront her right away. No, I decided to play the smart. I documented everything. Timestamps, GPS coordinates, photos, even measuring tape to show the exact distance of each strip. I filed a report with the sheriff's office, submitted everything to my lawyer, and waited. Karen had no idea the trap was set, and this time, it wasn't for my tires. 2 weeks later, a deputy knocked on my door. He smiled almost apologetically and asked if I'd be willing to press charges. Turns out, she wasn't just violating property lines. She'd committed a Class C felony under our state law, tampering with private property in a way that could cause bodily harm or significant damage, not to mention trespassing and intentional sabotage. The officer said this was one of the cleanest cases he'd ever seen. Karen might have as well signed the spike strips with her name. Still, things didn't end there. Karen, being Karen, didn't go down quietly. The moment she got wind of the investigation, she tried to twist the story. She claimed I was the aggressor, that the road was shared by the neighborhood, and that the spike strips were meant to deter reckless delivery drivers, despite the fact that every other driveway in the area was paved and patrolled by HOA-approved speed bumps. It was laughable, really. But here's where karma really kicked in. During the legal discovery process, my lawyer uncovered emails Karen had sent to her HOA board, bragging about what she did. "He thinks he's above the rules," one email read. "Let's see how he likes a few bumps in the road," literally. She even attached photos of her handiwork, This wasn't just malicious. It was premeditated. The court date came faster than expected. Karen showed up in her best suburban camouflage, pearl earrings, a stiff cardigan, and a look that screamed, victim. She tried to charm the judge. Didn't work. Once the footage played and the emails were read aloud, her face turned ghost white. I didn't even have to testify. The evidence spoke for itself. In the end, Karen was hit with a hefty fine, community service, and a restraining order that barred her from stepping within 100 feet of my property. She also had to pay restitution for the damage she caused. And perhaps the sweetest part? The HOA distanced themselves completely. Turns out Karen wasn't exactly popular in their little bubble either. She acted without their knowledge, and now they were facing backlash for her rogue actions. But I wasn't done yet. I took it one step further and filed a civil suit for harassment and property damage. After months of depositions and Lee DA. But I wasn't done yet. I took it one step further and filed a civil suit for harassment and property damage. After months of depositions and legal wrangling, I won. She owed me thousands in damages, and even the HOA had to cough up a settlement for not keeping her behavior in check. The message was clear. You don't mess with people's private property, and you definitely don't mess with a farmer who documents everything. These days, the farm road is peaceful again. No spike strips, no unsolicited visits. Karen has since listed her house for sale. Word on the street is, no one in the area wants to live near her. I can't say I'm surprised. The entire ordeal taught me a lot. About entitlement, about boundaries, and most of all, about the importance of staying calm, collecting evidence, and letting the law do what it's meant to do. Because in the end, revenge doesn't always need to be loud. Sometimes, the best revenge is simply letting the facts speak and watching karma do the rest. So to anyone dealing with a Karen in their life, especially the kind who thinks HOA rules extend beyond their boundaries, remember this: your peace is worth protecting. And if they push you too far, you don't need to stoop to their level. Just be smart, be patient, and be relentless in your pursuit of justice. Oh, and maybe invest in a good set of trail cams. You never know when they'll catch a suburban saboteur in the act.